Here they come. I'll keep admitting, Cristen.
Okay.
I'm really tempted to make a silly middle school joke, like admitting what? How awesome middle school is? Yeah, maybe that. And I just did it, so. Hi, everyone. Let's do just a quick test, and maybe you can tell me by a thumbs up or a nod or something if you can hear us okay. I'll do a test. Great. I see some thumbs. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we will go ahead and get started. We're recording this session, as you know. Well, maybe you didn't know that, but we are recording this session so that we can share it out with you again, since we plan to share a lot of information with you today, and it might take some time to process all of that, and also to share it with the parents and caregivers who are unable to join us today. But we wanted to welcome you and thank you for joining us on your lunch hour, and just to give you this 20-minute overview of information to fifth grade and the middle school in general. And Cristen, I'm taking your part right now.
No, thank you. I appreciate you doing that while I was getting things ready.
Okay, good.
So we plan to spend about 20 minutes giving you just a brief overview into middle school, and then we'll save about 10 minutes at the end for questions. If you want to drop those questions in the chat as we're going, please feel free to do that, or you can save them until the end. And we hope that will leave us enough time. And before we get too far into it, we thought we should introduce ourselves. So my name is Cristen Geary. Along with Lissa Wade, we are the co-heads of the middle school. And then Burke, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Burke Backhurst. I'm the fifth grade lead advisor. I teach social studies in the middle school, and I'm also the 7th and 8th grade soccer coach. I wholeheartedly look forward to partnering with all of you to help your children feel ready, and for all of you to feel ready and excited to be onboarded to our middle school and to the 5th grade. As we begin this really kind of a 10-month ongoing conversation, we want to put you at ease that the 5th grade program is by design a thoughtful transition school year in and of itself. So I look forward to working with all of you, and I will pass it back to Cristen and Lissa.
Thank you so much. And I think Cristen will start sharing her screen, and I am hopeful that I will still be able to see the lobby and continue to admit some parents and caregivers who are coming in to join us. But we thank you again for spending this lunch hour with us. And so if you are in fact eating, go ahead and keep your cameras off. That's fine. Enjoy your lunch. And we will just go through this presentation. As we said, and as Burke just mentioned, our middle school program begins in 5th grade, which is unusual. It's unlike the public school model. And he mentioned a very key word there. It is truly to provide a smooth and excellent transition to the middle school years. So it's an important year when students learn to navigate changing classes and managing a locker and a planner, and just learning generally how to continue to advocate for themselves. That shift toward independence occurs with a lot of guidance and support from teachers, and of course from you as well. And it lays a strong foundation for the skills and habits that we will continue to cultivate throughout middle school. And Cristen will flip to the next slide, and we'll talk a little bit about middle school. And if you haven't had a student go through middle school yet, sorry. If you haven't had
yes, my name is Emily Saul. I had recently placed an order. I'm gonna look up that order number.
If you haven't had a student go through middle school yet, then you may be just thinking back on your own middle school experience. And a lot of us bring different lenses to this, right? So you certainly know that middle school is a time of rapid growth and development for students. It is a period of significant brain development, second only to those early childhood years, birth to age 2. And many of you may remember that 2 years ago, in the fall of 2019, we had Dr. Lissa visit our community, and she spent a whole day with us, students, teachers, and parents. And she's a clinical psychologist, highly regarded in her field. And we love this quote from Lissa that talks about their behavior being erratic and confusing, but also very healthy and necessary and natural. And we want you to know right up front that what may seem erratic and confusing to you is exactly what we signed up for here. So we love it and embrace it and all that it is. And hopefully that just sets your mind at ease a little bit about middle school in general. So we'll flip to another important aspect of our program, and that is really about student voice and student choice. And we know that it's essential for middle school students to have opportunities to use their voices, whether that means working in a classroom collaborative role or making an announcement during a morning meeting. As you see here in this photo, we have 2 of our 8th grade leaders and then our whole middle school in a gym for a morning meeting. Students need that time and that practice and supportive adults to help them develop their voices and use them in productive ways. They also need to have choice. During pre-adolescence, students are not only learning about the world, they're learning about themselves in the context of the world, and giving them room to explore interests that are important to them and also experiences that help them discover the world around them is going to help prepare them for their future. So as I mentioned, our week begins and ends with a all middle school morning meeting. And that morning meeting is led by 8th grade leaders who design all of the content. They call on students and teachers to make announcements, and it is entirely student led. We love that.
All right. Our academic program here at Wellington is future focused with an emphasis on that experimental learning and high levels of engagement from our teachers and our students alike. The middle school years give students a time to dive into academic content while also building those skills that we know that they're going to need to be successful in the future. Public speaking skills, composition skills, how to analyze things. And so we are really teaching them how to learn along with helping them build that content. We use a standard grading system here in the middle school, and you can see here our typical A day. So kind of broken up throughout the day with opportunities for them to see different people. But when we're grading them, we know that a letter grade is not everything and doesn't tell the whole story. So one of the things that we use in the middle school and the upper school is something called the Willing Learner Metric. This was designed over the last, I would say, 8 or 9 years. This is just another way for us to, as teachers, to convey to the students and the families what we're seeing in class and how they're going about their learning. So we have everything from a voracious learner down to a distracting learner. And the point of this is just to help start those conversations. So not every A student is a voracious learner in every class. And so it's really a conversation starter. Why do you think you ended up there? How could we move forward? And also the positive things. We're seeing you do these incredible things. You're actively engaged in class, and really to kind of bring that to focus. So this is really just a way for us to kind of continue that conversation. These are some of the courses that we have in the middle school. So a lot of the typical courses that you would see, English language arts, all of our 5th and 6th graders take French. Math, they get a little bit of choice in music. They can continue with strings. Similar to 4th grade, they can also join band or choir. Physical education, science, social studies, and visual arts are all components of our courses.
And Cristen showed a couple slides ago of our typical A-day schedule, periods 1 through 5. And those A through D days, we have an A, B, C, and a D day schedule that we run in the middle school. And on those days, that is when students go to the classes that you just saw listed on the previous slide. When we have a 5-day week, which is really most of our weeks, but occasionally, as you are aware, we have perhaps a holiday or a professional day, and then we'll have a 4-day week. But on our 5-day weeks, we have a pause in the middle of the week, and we have a leap day schedule. And that is on Wednesdays, generally speaking. And that's a wonderful opportunity for us to mix student groups and to devote to this acronym. As you are aware, a group of Jaguars is a leap. And so we are using this acronym and aligning with the upper school in this way as well. LEAP really stands for Learning, Exploration, and Projects. So to bring it to 5th grade and help you understand a little bit what that looks like for our 5th graders this year, LEAP days begin after Advisory Flex check-in and a class morning meeting that begins with an extension period that expands to class periods. And that is a time when the grade level team devotes time to extensions in curricular areas, specifically focusing on math and English language arts to help differentiate content. Sometimes we recognize there are students who need extra challenge, and then we'll recognize that students may need extra support. So we can group students on those days with that knowledge in mind. We also have a very special course designed just for 5th graders by our own Mr. Backhurst here. It is called Explorers of the World, and it's specifically for them to follow a passion in a deep dive research project. And Mr. B has lots to share about that at another time, but it's a wonderful and beloved hallmark experience of the 5th grade year. Moving on, one thing that we value throughout our 4 years of middle school is the strong base that Advisory provides, that sense of connectedness and feeling belonging and feeling known. So it functions as a middle school homeroom. It's a home base of sorts. It's a group of usually 10 students with 1 teacher who serves as that child's advisor, as the advisor to that group of children. And that is your primary contact. That is your #1 liaison between home and school. The goal of our advisory program, of course, is to help students flourish in every way, socially, emotionally, academically, and we have a special advisory curriculum that is designed by the 5th grade team in consultation with our counselor in the middle school. And our advisory curriculum is both responsive and proactive. When we know that there is a specific theme or a need that we need to address during an advisory lesson, we will plan that. Otherwise, we certainly take time to explicitly develop executive function skills, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and character strengths, and certainly navigating all of the challenges that we might encounter during the middle school years. So we're really proud of the advisory program. Students begin and end every day with advisory. They check in with each other in the middle of the day. They have a half an hour supervised study time. That is an advisory. And then they eat lunch together as an advisory. So lots of opportunities for the teacher to lay eyes on the student during the day and know whether things are going well or we need a specific check-in. We really lean heavily on our advisory program here.
Another huge highlight of our LEAP days are our dive classes. These are somewhat like elective classes, but they were really born out of the initiative to drive student engagement. And so we kind of worked backwards, and one of the best ways to drive student engagement is through teacher engagement and teacher excitement. So we, a few years ago, asked our teachers to think about what are those things you would love to teach that you can bring a lot of passion to the classroom. Our dive classes change from time to time, but students take 4 of these courses throughout the year, 2 at the beginning of the year, 2 at the end of the year. Some of them are really a deep dive into a topic, and some of them are just meant as an introduction to help students understand a little bit more of the world around them. They also get to choose, so we ask them to really think about what are the things that are exciting to you, that bring your passion. And so we ask them to rank their choices, and we work incredibly hard to make sure that they get as high of a choice as possible. It really kind of combining that student choice with the faculty passion is something that we know is just going to help encourage that engagement and help them kind of make those connections. One thing that we've really been able to focus on this year with our LEAP days is our clubs and groups. And so what happens, sorry. A pop-up just came on my screen and now I can't see what I was sharing. Oh. There we go. Okay. So these are our clubs and groups, my apologies. These are really student driven. So these are a lot of clubs that our students have said to us that they would love to hear. A lot of these clubs, the students are deciding what they're doing, what they're working on those days. And these are some of those times that we hear our students just beaming with excitement to go to their clubs. We have everything from puzzles and logic to the statistics behind fantasy football. A cybersecurity club that is competing in the Cyber Patriot competition. Chess club is a huge draw, anime club. So we have seen that our students are really able to find themselves in these clubs, and it's something that they are looking forward to. Another great aspect of our middle school program are the sports that we offer. Our students can be 3-season athletes without having that prior experience. And so we really encourage them to try new things. Those that really excel at a sport, we see them building that leadership and helping those that may be new to the sport. All of that team building and those individual skills kind of come together and really make a positive impact for our students. And so many of those skills that they're learning in sports are then transferable into the classroom. So we have everything from cross country to basketball, baseball, track and field. And some of these are sports that have come about recently. So we had a 5th grade running club that started this year. It's after school run, very similar to many of our fall sports. And with huge success, it was a chance for the 5th graders to really own something. And it was really great to see.
And as much as we love being on campus and we spend the majority of our time here, we know that off-campus learning and the opportunity to get outside of our walls provides some memorable opportunities and the kind of learning that we simply can't accomplish here in this physical space. So we're very intentional about taking our grade levels to various places as well as classroom connections for certain content areas. You already are well aware that our winter program is coming back this year for skiing and snowboarding, and certainly our middle schoolers love that opportunity as well. Our 7th graders went to Play Seabus recently, a high ropes course, and loved it. Our 6th graders recently visited Chadwick Arboretum, and we remembered how much we love that process of being on a field trip together. And next week, our 5th graders are going to go to Stratford Ecological Center for the first of 3 consecutive visits, a total of 5 days. Is that correct, Mr. B and Ms. Geary? Yes. Throughout this year that connects with our science curriculum in a Messages from the Earth program specifically. It's a wonderful experience that many of our upper school students will still fondly recall and talk about their 5th grade days at Stratford. So we value this time to get off of campus. Coming very, very soon, as you are also well aware, because you may come to campus on a frequent basis, unless your students are riding public transportation, but we are building a new middle school wing, and we could not be more excited about what that will lead to for the next few years, especially and beyond. It will contain the middle school wing on the top floor and the early childhood and special area teacher rooms on the bottom floor, with a special collab lab that is accessible from our common area. So here is an architectural rendering of what to expect very, very soon. Moving on, for also what to expect as your 4th graders make their transition to middle school, and we welcome them, we wanted to share with you some of the touch points that are in the future. Today, it starts our partnership with you, this middle school preview, and we have not yet been in touch with your 4th graders other than waving hello to them in the hallways. Ms. Geary and I are often roaming through the lower school hallway, and we will say hello to them. And I think a lot of them know us by now, but we're looking forward to getting to know them better. We will be very intentional about connecting our middle school teachers with your students and some of our middle school students with your students, because we know that it will help them in their transition to have a friendly face and have a connection to refer back to. So all of that will begin in earnest really starting in January. We will have the 4th graders visit middle school at some point, and we'll make you aware of when and how that's going to happen and ask for you to engage them in a conversation about their impressions. We will have an event here on campus in person for you in the spring, And that will be a little more tailored to the nuts and bolts, things like dress code and summer reading and what to expect, how supplies, things like that. And that will be an opportunity for you to meet next year's 5th grade team of teachers as well and support staff. And then right before school starts, we have a special morning designed just for our 5th graders and for any students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grades who are new to Wellington. That's a new student orientation and a 5th grade orientation, and an opportunity for them to come and see their schedules and walk through the classrooms and find their lockers and so on and so forth. So that really helps them feel ready for that first day of school, and as though they know exactly what they're doing and where to go. Stay tuned for emails and announcements from us. We'll put them in the 4th grade weekly communications that you have been receiving, and we will be in touch with you often. And it's 12:21, and we promised 20 minutes of information, lots coming at you. And then we wanted to give you this time to unmute and share with us any questions that are on your minds right now. So this is an opportunity for you. And it could also be a situation where you don't know what you don't know. That's also true. But we do want to just give you that chance to ask for anything to be clarified from what we just shared with you. Oh, okay, I see a hand up. You may, and I'm not sure who that is, but please do unmute and if you're able to. Was that Alicia or Alicia?
Yeah, just real quick, I couldn't find the meeting notice because I was looking for 5th grade, not middle school, in my Gmail. Plus, my husband can't be on the call. Will you be sending out this deck so we can catch up? Thank you.
Yes. Well, Alicia, we'll send it out in the format of this video recording, so you'll see the deck, and that'll help. I think you'll be able to pause and read a little more of the text that we put on the slides, so hopefully you'll appreciate that. And as a general announcement for everyone, please feel free to be in touch with us at any time. Our email addresses are listed on the first slide. Mr. B's is not, but he is Burke Backhurst, so you can reach him in the same email format, backhurst@wellington.org. But at any point along the way, if there's a question in your mind about middle school, in 5th grade in particular, we would love to field those and help you have a sense for exactly what to expect. Any other questions or thoughts that are on your mind? Anyone nervous about middle school? It's okay if you are, but just remember that we signed up for this. We love this. And I think in reflecting back on my own middle school experience, I'm certainly so proud of what we do here at Wellington, and so happy for these students to have this experience. It's highly unusual to have that kind of connection with adults and other students, and to really lean into the values that we espouse here of being yourself and being ambitious and being curious. And Jamie's got a question. Hi, Jamie.
Hi there. I was just curious, for scheduling purposes, do you mix the kids up when they go to like math and English, or they travel together as a group?
It really depends on the year, but in as much as possible, we find ways to mix them. They will certainly be in different music sections, and we last year had our music teachers come and speak with students about that selection early on so that they had time to think about it and make their choices, and that helped us confirm their schedules. So music is a place where they mix up a lot as well, and yes, all of the other classes on the A through D day schedules. And Leap Day, of course, is that time to be very intentional about mixing groups, especially if there is a schedule where students are together a lot and they need a little more space from one another. But generally speaking, we find opportunities to mix quite a bit. Does that help, Jamie?
I guess. So does that mean, like, for math, they're going to be with a different group, and then language arts, they're all going to be all mixed, like high school, you change classes?
They do, yes, they change classes so the 5 periods a day. They might be with some of the same students in math and science or PE, but then they might be with a different group of students or a slightly mixed group of students for art and English language arts, etc.
Okay,
So,
that's good. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. And I see another hand up here, and this is for an email address. I'm sorry we don't know your names yet, but we can't wait to know you.
Hi, this is Leah Pappas-Porter. Thanks so much for the information today. I'm curious about class size. My understanding is that the current 4th grade class is one of the larger lower school grades. Mm-hmm. And as you think about next year, what will be the class size and the teacher-student ratio?
Cristen, do you want to do that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are anticipating that we will have 4 sections for our 5th graders next year. For many of our grades, we have 3 sections, but we know that the incoming 5th graders next year are a larger group, so we will adjust accordingly. We aim to have no more than 16 in a class as we're scheduling. And there are some changes to that, whether it's math placement or things like that. But our goal is certainly to have them around 16. And we really work hard over the summer to make sure that we are dividing them as evenly as possible. But that is something that's definitely on our mind, and we anticipate being able to split them into 4 groups.
And in just a follow-up, if I may, in middle school, is it 16-1, or are there teaching guides in those subject matter? How does that work in middle school?
So we don't have learning guides like they do in lower school. It would typically be one teacher with 12 students, 13 students, 14 students. If we were actually to talk about ratios, though, some of our teachers would be on kind of stepping in and stepping out. And so I believe our ratio is around 1-8. Does that sound accurate, Lissa?
You know, I'm not sure about that, actually. That's really good data to try to collect. It's just kind of vacillated through the years, but I can say too, like, especially in the 7th and 8th grade years, when you have language, when the students have the opportunity to either continue in French or take Latin or Spanish and switch to a new world language. So that's when you see the interest. Sometimes lots of students will elect to pick this one language, and that class will be a little bigger, maybe 18. And so, but that is still one teacher in the classroom for the 55-minute period. Does that help, Leah, answer your question?
It really does, because, you know, obviously for those of us that have been lifers, you know, this year the classrooms are very large compared to when we started, particularly for the Little Jags program, and kind of increased. And so it would be helpful to continue informing us of the admission rate for next year, and then what will be the ratio. A lot of us have had conversations about our concern around that for the numbers in 4th grade, and it would be wonderful to have transparency in advance of the 5th grade year, so we can make informed decisions about, you know, the type of class and size of class that we want our children to be in.
Right. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, and it's always good to know those things up front. And what I will say too about the 5th grade, and really just every grade in middle school, what happens is that students are not in any one place for too long, which is good. We did change our schedule several years ago from an 8-period day to a 5-period day, because we knew that students needed fewer transitions. We wanted to go a little more in depth and have a 55-minute class period where you could review prior content, introduce a new concept, and have time to practice it before you would move on. So we got ourselves down to a really lovely schedule with a 5-period day, which also now this year has a supervised study period, or a half an hour stretch right before lunch. It's beautifully placed because students have had 3 class periods already, and they're very motivated to work on perhaps some homework or things like that they know they need to do. And then they go to lunch and have 2 more class periods. The supervised study time is a time when all of our teachers are mutually available, and it's a time when we really encourage students to go and seek out help from a teacher, or perhaps take a makeup quiz if they had been absent or something like that. So that's a really valuable time that gets students up and moving around, visiting other classroom spaces, so that nothing is super stale or stagnant for too long, or you're with that same group of people. So hopefully that gives you a little more of a picture too, Leah, about how students are moving throughout their days here.
Okay. And Jamie, it looks like you have a question as well.
Oh, I forgot to put my hand down.
Yeah, I was going to say, it could still be the hand up from before.
My arm's tired.
No worries. I know we're all still making some adjustments to Teams around here, but we want to thank you so much and be very respectful of your time today and the fact that it's your lunch hour. And thank you so much for joining us in this introduction to middle school and a little bit of a sneak preview. Thank you for finding us here today in your Outlook calendars or wherever you found us. And please be in touch with us with any questions that you have along the way, and we will keep you well informed about the times when we are connecting here at school with your fourth graders. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Guys.